And we're live here on Nourish, Heal, and Thrive once again. And I'm really excited. Today I have Steve McCann. And Steve and I met, I don't know, a couple, 2, 3 months ago in Bump. But we never really had a good chance to talk and get to know each other outside of some of these Bump meetings that we do. So I'm excited to get to know him a little better. Steve is a path walker, and he is an uh, intuitive soul
Intuitive
and
soul guide.
energy
Yep.
healing practitioner, right?
Yes, thank you.
Oh,
Sorry about that. Thank you for the invite, Derek. I appreciate it.
yeah,
Um,
we're so glad to have you here. Please start off by telling everybody like who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
well, like I said, my name's Steve McCann, Steven, my full name, but I live in Rochester, Minnesota now. I just recently moved from Minneapolis, Minnesota, about 2 hours south and east. Uh, I'll start off saying what I do by asking questions. Do you ever feel like you were lost or discarded, not connected? That's how I grew up. And so what I have found for myself is on the physical healing, the spiritual healing, emotional healing, and mental healing, I've actually improved that by doing spiritual work, by going in. And with me, my spiritual work has been very eclectic. I don't follow one particular religious path. I borrow from a lot of them, and a lot of it's stuff that I made up. I spent 12 years studying with a shaman, for example, a little bit of Taoism, a little bit of Buddhism, other things like that, and different spirit team that will come to me during my shamanic journeys. What I do is help people do the same, figure out their path for themselves. That's why I call myself a path walker. One, it was a name given to me during meditation. I ask what I am, but I walk a path with you to find your path to get you should follow, whether it's spiritual, mental, physical, to help you grow to be yourself. So your ability to speak your voice, have your voice, your ability to belong and feel like you're connected to something, it's greater than you, because that's helped me immensely.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I'm gonna ask you a ton more questions about exactly what you do, but I could say for me that, once I started on my kind of spiritual journey, everything got better for me. My health got better. That's where I lost the weight and kind of how my story started, right? And then, I started making more money and, my relationships got better. Everything just got better in my life. So, I'm curious, like, what's your story? How did you get into doing all of this?
Well, up until 2000, I was actually basically a militant atheist. I was going home from work one day. I had a bad marriage, bad work career. Did a heartfelt prayer for the first time ever since I was a kid. That night, a Native American man showed up in my dream. This is Monday night, and he showed me a few things. And then I go to work, and I could like shift my consciousness. He was sitting there over a campfire in the plains that he first introduced himself, even while I'm at work. By Friday, I'm in my head going, "Why are you here?" Getting very angry. One of the people I worked with is metaphysical, and she mentioned something, and then so I changed my approach. I walked up to him in my head again, and asked, "How can I help you?" With that, he smiled and gave me a number of gifts, three different gifts that are related to my spirituality. That started me on my spiritual path. About a year or two later, I found the local shaman I was working with. And then as far as the energy healing, and I'm also a certified hypnotherapist. I got into that because I was having a medical problem. They couldn't figure out what was the cause, let alone a cure, called cough syncope. You cough so hard you faint. I almost dropped my youngest daughter at the time was 9 months old, and I almost dropped her down the stairs. And I did end up in the ditch one time because of coughing when I was driving. So somebody's like, we went through all the different tests, tilt tables, cardiological, neurological, all that type of stuff. Never could find an answer. And someone said, go work with a hypnotist that also is an energy healer. I'm like, I was game because I had to do something. I said, I almost dropped my 9 month old baby down the stairs. That scared me. So I went with to him, and we found a repressed memory of someone choking me in my sleep. I don't remember. Well, I'm not going to go into the details of that, but that is what really what happened is I ended up was being choked. So that memory was coming up in a way that wasn't. It was a repressed memory. So it was manifesting itself through my inability to breathe. And once we worked through that issue, we went through that. It physiologically, I have not had cough syncope since. I get close once in a while. I get lightheaded for certain things, but I had never had an experience since then. So I'm so impressed by the power of the mind over the body. the brain over the body, that I went out and became a hypnotherapist and a Reiki healer myself. And then I did a business for a little while, had got divorced, had to go back into the computer field so I can make money and pay child support, that type of stuff, life events. And now recently, with my youngest daughter just graduating with her master's from for education, I decided I'm going to restart the business. So I also went through another organization to learn the energy healing. So, things like quantum healing and DNA encoding, all these different modalities. But in the end, most of the people I work with usually it's related to their spiritual path. Either, they could be Christian. I worked with Christians, Muslims, non-believers, um, pagans, etc. I worked with a large gambit of people, and I always work within their framework. I have my own belief structure, but I don't try to put that on them. I'll explain it from my point of view. But when I'm talking with them, it's very intuitive for me. So what I get information is like I'll see it, I hear it, or feel it. I'll relay that and see what they think of it, what if it resonates with them, and if it does or doesn't, we continue going back and forth, building a rapport and building the path for them to work on, not from my angle, but it's very individualistic. So kind of round a lot of things together in that. But yeah, the real reason I started is because I was originally started with a medical history issue.
Yeah, can you share what the gifts were that you received?
Yes, I will, not a problem. One thing he gave me was a medicine bag, kind of a Native American bag that you would hold things. In his hand, it had an image of what they call the thunder beings. It's just one, certain tribes have it as I'm not. Okay, I'll give it to that in a second. But it had a thunder. When it was in my hand, it became a wolf print in red. And then the second one was like a cloak that was sleeveless or a robe that was sleeveless. The first two-thirds to three-quarters had rolls of white feathers with black tips. And then the last quarter to one-third was a patchwork of different animal hides. And the last thing was a Native American spear with three hawk feathers on it. Basically, there was implying like I say, and I work with spirit teams. I work a lot with the spirit animals personally. You know, um, there's just different animals I work with that have come to me a lot during my journeys, either meditations, sleep, dreams, etc. And I like I said, I've worked with other people who have their guides come in, and I help them understand the messages they're getting from their guides that make sense for them.
Got it. So yeah, we all have different paths, right? And different journeys that we're going on.
Yeah, one of the phrase I like for that is I believe it's a Chinese proverb that there's many paths up the side of the mountain, but the views at the top at the same. The view at the top is the same. There we go. I'm
Oh
sorry.
wow. Yeah, I like
You
that.
know, we maybe use speaking a different language, but in the end, I think we're all speaking very similar things.
Sure. Wow. So when somebody comes to you, a typical client, what are they looking for and how do you help them?
Um, well, I was starting off doing the energy healing more, but what ends up happening, I said, they start talking about dreams they would have or messages they would get during a meditation or prayer, whatever practice they would do, and then I would have them relate it to me, and I build a container, hold a container, hold space for the person I'm working with, so it's sacred container between them and I, and then I just sink into my center and listen. I say listen, but there's a number of what they call clairs, like clairsentient, clairaudient, claircognizant, the ability to sense things externally than you normal, So I would see something, I'd feel it in my body, or I would hear it or see it, I should say, and then I would relate that back to them, and then we go back and forth that way. Sometimes the physical healing is involved. Like I work with chakras and stuff like that to help balance them because we'll find that sometimes you need that energy cleared. So I do energy clearing as well, so they can be more of a clear conduit for that message from their spirit team. If they have had experiences with a message like a spirit guide, let's say, that comes to them, I help them determine who it is, where they're from, and it could be, from Jesus as one of the extended masters, as they call it, to some I've been visited by myself, or some of the older gods like Odin, other gods, I shouldn't say, I won't say older, but other gods like Odin and Canunus and stuff. Um, and again, that was my experience, but everyone's experience is different. Like you said earlier, everyone has their own path to walk. That's what I help them do, is walk their own path. And as a path walker, I'm with them for a little while, but I expect them, I'm basically helping them get to the point that they can move on their path by themselves.
And that's cool. And once they're on their path, for the people that really still don't understand what you do, once they're on their path, what can they expect?
What I've seen is a lot more spiritual clarity, which in the end, I think is like you mentioned, your experience, it started with the spiritual growth of being able to lose the weight, to have better relationships. And one of the relationships that get better, I think, is the relationship internal, the relationship with yourself, because you realize you're not we're all connected to something greater than us. I didn't believe that a long time in my life, and the more I believing that, the more I lean into that, the more life's um, travesties, or whatever you want to call them, become easier to navigate. And that's what I'm hoping that not what I'm hoping, that's what people get from this, is the ability to lean on something that they can use to navigate through life's being life.
Yeah, we're here for those experiences, right? Good
Exactly.
and bad.
Hmm.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, you shared a lot. Is there something that you haven't maybe talked about that you'd like to share with everybody in the group?
um no, I think I'm okay. Yeah, I will say one thing. I'm a little excited and lack of sleep because I had a grandson born last
Oh,
week. So
congratulations.
on the 5th, he was born early in the morning, and I got the news shortly afterwards, and I didn't sleep for like the next 24 hours. So, but yes, thank you. But that's one of the things I noticed for me is, like I said, I never really felt a lot of love growing up because I grew up in an alcoholic family. And learning to lean on something greater than myself, a spiritual team, God, creator, source, the universe, whatever you choose to call it, Allah, it helped me feel that I actually belong and that I'm loved. So one of my favorite mantras is I'm loved, loving, and lovable.
Wow.
And that's another way I like to have people leave when they're done working with me, is they feel that.
Wow. Really powerful. And I feel really connected to you. It's you have this great energy about you. So
Well,
thank
thank
you
you.
for sharing that with, I don't know if anybody else in the group feels that, but as they're watching, but I can feel it. So
Well, thank you very
really
much.
cool.
I enjoyed it. It's been fun. It's been good time getting a chat with you a little bit.
Yeah. Steve, how can people get a hold of you if they want to?
Yeah, right now you can go to my website, which is pathwalkerquantumhealing.com. It has my phone number, it has my email, it has the ability to schedule an appointment. You can schedule an initial consultation to see if we can talk and see if we're resonating with each other, and in moving forward. And then you can sign up for appointments that way. Future, I'm looking at starting my own group, and the working name for it right now is Sovereign Pathwalker Circle. Again, yeah, and because the circle doesn't really have a leader. I'm not a leader. I walk beside you. I don't lead you. You don't follow me. That's why I wanted to call mine a circle. Nothing, that was just what I feels like fits my area really well.
Got it. Really cool. Awesome. Steve, thank you so much for sharing with the group. Really excited for your Facebook group that's going to be launching soon. And yeah, if anyone resonates with Steve, he's going to put his links in the comments here so you can, get to his website and all that stuff without having to remember what he just said.
But I just said, yeah, very true. It's a lengthy web name. So
Yeah. So thanks, Steve. Is there any final words before I sign
I
off here?
guess along with believing in something greater than yourself, I want people to also believe in themselves. That would be
Believe in
my,
themselves. Awesome.
yes.
Great advice. Great words. Thank you, Steve. Thank you,
Thank
everybody, for watching today. And if you like what we're doing here in Nourish, Heal, and Thrive, and you want to be spotlighted here in the group, put interview in the comments and I'll connect with you so we can set up a time for you to interview and share your gifts with the group. And even if you're struggling, I did interview somebody recently that said, this was felt very therapeutic to just tell my story. So just come on here and share and we wanna showcase you. So we're looking forward to everybody else joining us. And thank you, Steve, and thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thank you. Bye.